Hello, friendos! Glad you're here to hear me say words, and here is everyone else. Here's our other co-host that will be here weekly, Light.
Okay, no last name. Good job, Ketchy.
Light Row. I didn't know if I was, but this is my first time. Just
This
kidding.
is your
And
first
here's
time.
our temporary co-host while Plaguebringer is away, Barney Bish Damos.
I get a last name.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
And of course, guys, I'm Ketchy Malice. Nice to see all of you. Or not really see all of you, but you in your listening holes. Alright, guys. This week, we are talking about privacy. And the way we're going to start this off is recently, from things I've read and things I've heard, and what pretty much the collaborative thing is with Facebook, usually the center of kind of invading privacy and giving information and so forth to other companies and stuff. They are taking another step and quote like diving into your private life, which at this point you can opt out of this, but they are making a new thing to where every time you post a status update from your phone, it will record TV shows and music in the background, something similar to Shazam, but it records everything, so they're pretty much also recording if you say anything in the background as well. So I personally think that's a pretty big breach of privacy. What about you guys? What do you guys think?
Well,
Go ahead, Light.
to start off, I suppose you could say that if you think about it, like the biggest current game that's out, Watch Dogs, and this is actually relevant to this because I'm watching someone play through it. If you play that game and the main goal of that game is obviously to hack things. There is these points where you have to hack different server rooms, and if you hack, there'll be like little extras in there, and you hack those, and you see that the government, the company that runs basically the entirety of Chicago, is actually recording the everyday lives of the people of Chicago. And when Ketchy told me about this, not an hour ago, it instantly brought my mind to this. And it kind of makes me think, are we heading in this direction where the government and companies connected to the government will, or just companies in general, will connect to our media devices, our TVs, our computers, our laptops, and I know this is PCs, laptop, whatever, even our gaming devices like the consoles and whatnot, and record our everyday lives. That's what instantly jumped into my head. Is this where we're heading with this? Is this the start? Like, not a really huge start, but a kind of subtle, like, oh, we're going to record your background noise when you post something on your phone. You don't need that.
All right, Barnabas, what do you think?
I wanted to go in and take a quick look and verify what it actually said by just trying to find it, and actually
Okay.
trying to find it on the internet wasn't necessarily the easiest thing. You actually had to write out the whole shebang, just like Facebook status update from phone recording or some crap like that, in order to even bring it up. So that actually does concern me that it's not something that's easily seen, and it's one of those cases where you actually would have had to
front page.
right. You would have had to actually go through and read what it was saying. There. Before I go forward, I want to say there's no such thing as black and white. Not in this world. There's no such thing as a black and white. You can't say you can have everything private for yourself, but at the same time you cannot say I want myself to be an open book to everybody. So there is a certain amount of privacy that just does not exist. No matter how much you want to how much you want to idealize that concept, it does not exist. Period. The more electronics that we get into our lives, the more we move away. Unless you want to be a Luddite, your privacy is always going to be, something that's going to have to be reviewed and scrutinized by yourself. You're not going to be able to just say, yeah, sure, I completely 100% trust my government, or I completely 100% trust corporations. Hell, I completely 100% trust my job. Even most people's jobs will go through and look at your Facebook to make sure that you're not, screwing up and causing a bad name for them. Um, in this case, though, after reading it and seeing that yes, this was hidden in there. Sure, they put it under the guise that it's a some sort of useful addition, so they can get a better feel for what they want to show you, what they want to tailor the internet for you. Well, sure, that works fine. When I go to Amazon, I don't want to see the next waifu that somebody else is buying just because it's a random thing on the suggestions tab. The suggestions tab should tell me what, based off my ordering history or based off my viewing history, what I might actually like. But as for Facebook recording your background, that makes no sense whatsoever. It just seems unnecessary to me. I'm sure that someone can probably think of a very good reason why we would need it, other than trying to determine what exactly is going on in your background that somebody else would want to have, other than you. That's not geared towards advertisements.
Yeah.
But it seems redundant, and it's the more we already ignore advertisements as they are.
Yeah, pretty
No,
much. Like, look at how many overfit. They wear this as a badge of honor, and I think they should ad block. Multiple ad block programs, especially the biggest one, has over 15 million users have downloaded that program simply because of what Google decided to do when they got control of YouTube and adding ads in front of everyone's videos,
Yeah.
and everyone was really bitchy about that. And yeah, I was too. I was really mad, especially about, like, this is irrelevant now, but during the times before the PS4 was coming out, there was some minor talk with Sony about actually putting possible ads into the actual game. This a similar actually handheld phone type of thing. I can't remember the name right now. Actually, it attempted this as well. They actually had ads while playing the game. Like, it
yeah,
was really fake.
there's actually been several that have been like that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and like it's just so annoying because, like, especially after you pay, let's say you pay like $300-$400 for like a PS4 or PS3, I mean, and like you have like imagine having ads in that, or having any system and paying an excess amount of money and still having ads. Like, that's just no. That's something that would make me not buy whatever system it is. Ads for me, like, just are always annoying.
Yeah, that's the reason why I got ad block in the first place. And another thing that the ads actually do, like on YouTube, for instance, they actually do slow down the load times on YouTube, because when I'm at home, my YouTube load times are really fast. But when I'm, say, at work on my work computer, and I'm like, okay, I want to put on like background music just to have something to, like, focus me, so I'm not distracted. So I go to YouTube, I just pull up a random music video, put it on the background, but the ads on there actually make the video longer to load than I would have to when I'm sitting at home, and it's annoying. So I think that's another one of the reasons why people love ad block so much, and why everybody downloads it, especially when
Yeah.
they get new computers.
Now, and it like I understand. Yes, this is your company. This is your product that you're trying to get people to buy. And most of the time, not everybody's going to know that it exists unless there are some sort of advertisements. Advertisements do exist for a reason. Um, the problem is the oversaturation of it. And like there was a movie recently. Um, I it's something about possible possession or a demonic presence in
Devil's
a
Due?
house. I think it's the Devil's Due. And it was I hadn't heard of it, and I just happened to be listening to I think Litterbots YouTube while I was at work, and I'm listening to it, and it skipped to the next thing. The ad pops on, and I was like, oh, this seems interesting. Let me take a look at it. Of course, this is what an ad is supposed to do. I have never seen this before. Let me take a look at. Oh, this is interesting. I would like to go watch this movie. But then after going through 15 different videos, I saw the damn thing 14
15
times.
different times. Yeah.
And it was the same thing. So it's the fact that going back to the original subject, if you want to, for lack of a better term, dismantle privacy and let it go to the sluice of information, and in order to better tailor the internet for our purchasing, economic stimulating, behavior. If you want to do that, yes, learn from what we look at, learn from what we are interested in based on what we go to or what we may buy. But at the same time, learn when to stop, because once it was done, after it got to the 15th, I don't want to see the damn movie anymore. I feel like I know the damn story already.
Yeah, most movies actually do give away a lot of the story in ads these days.
Yeah, that's just bad form.
Yeah,
and I feel like the reason they do that is because they, while like I do say this jokingly to some extent, that they think pretty much like everyone in America is just retarded when it comes to like anything. They're like they need like their handheld their handheld just to like go to the restroom, or they think they might get lost or something. I feel like that's the kind of guys they portray for everyone. While like as people can be stupid, I don't think everyone's that stupid that you need to. So for them to go watch a movie, they know how exactly the movie's going to play out beginning to end, and that's just another thing that is, I don't know, quite annoying in my opinion.
It is very annoying.
And that's why
look at Terminator Salvation. Gave away the biggest plot twist in the first 10 seconds of the damn trailer.
Pretty much, yeah. That was.
And that's like when I go to see movies and things, like I don't watch the trailer. I try not to watch the trailer. If something sounds cool, I go with that. I go with my gut. I don't watch trailers anymore, just because I don't. If it's gonna be a new, except for when it comes to Godzilla, because I know what's gonna happen automatically. And I know it's just gonna be
you can really.
Monster. Yeah, because you've already seen the first 12 of them, so you know what's gonna happen. Awesome shit.
And think of it. Godzilla is actually a good example. And spoiler alert for anybody's listening. If you haven't seen it, I'm about to say something that may come as a shock to you, but the damn movie's been out for a month. Watching the trailers, at no point did I know there was going to be a monster other than Godzilla. When I watched the trailer, I was under the assumption that it was going to be another kind of
Solo.
version of the Matthew another Solo, the very first Godzilla, or the Matthew Broderick piece of shit. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've said things like that a lot, so.
All right.
Go nuts.
So, I didn't actually know that. So they did a good job, and because they had kept a kind of a tight lid on the whole on that whole aspect, I was pleasantly surprised that there was something other than Gojira walking around stomping on stuff. Granted, the movie still had some issues with it that I personally didn't care for, but still, it was a nice change. Meanwhile, you have I keep going back to Terminator Salvation because that was just that bothered me to no end, because I was a huge Terminator fan as it was. Well,
and
for
then
the
it
first
just
two.
basically spoils the biggest plot twist in the entire movie, and the only thing that really could have made the movie interesting to begin with.
Exactly.
So unless you didn't watch the trailer for that movie, you weren't surprised.
I actually didn't, and I was surprised because I was a kid. I was a kid, and I haven't watched I don't watch TV pretty much because TV sucks. Besides when Breaking Bad was coming out, I started liking TV and Dexter and all these awesome little shows. But The biggest thing was, no, I didn't see the movie. I thought it was pretty cool. I was younger though. I was really young at that point. I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So that was nice.
I think the reason why they do this, more so these days, is just simply because they realize that most people who go to these movies don't really have, like, the ads have to hook people, and nobody's gonna really be interested in an ad anymore. Like, I can't remember when this actually came out, but the whole Carrie telekinetic coffee shop prank that was like funded by that movie, the studio
Carrie.
movie. Yeah, they remade that song like a while ago, I think.
Yeah.
Last October
Last
or
year.
so.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
And they made that amazing like video of the prank, like the coffee shop where people freaked out, and then they put like the 2-second ad, and it's just like, oh well, that's a good way to
Might go
advertise.
see that. Yeah.
Like I can understand why that wouldn't work for like new movies, but it's still interesting, and it's still like it's a new twist on advertisement that I feel should be implemented more, even though it's not usually practical.
Like there was okay, never mind. There was the baby prank for Rosemary's Baby as well. That was pretty funny. I feel like just going outside the box. Even remember when Paranormal Activity came out and it did it's like this movie's gonna totally scare you, bro, and they have a bunch of people screaming. That's what made me want to go see the movie. I was like, I want to scream like that. How scary is this movie? So that's what drove me to see the first and the second one. And
I
like,
feel they
still
kind of
sucks, but
pushed that
still.
franchise really far.
like
Though, so.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't like I like the Paranormal Activity series. That it's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. Like I recognize that the movies are kind of shit, but they're just goddamn fun to watch in my opinion. Minus the fourth one. The fourth one was like the worst piece of shit I've ever saw. Ever. Just was terrible. So bad. Like the third one was actually really. I don't know why. I really liked it. It was probably my favorite. Like maybe no. The first one. The only reason the first one's my favorite is because of the fact that they had quite a limited budget and they made.
Yeah, it's like a really low budget film, and they didn't get.
I have admiration for that, especially like even though like they're dealing with thousands upon thousands of dollars, and like I would only deal with hundreds, but I'm a filmmaker myself, and like I want to do that for maybe not a living, but at least a hobby, and like I just have kind of a little place in my heart when for when people go above and beyond with limited resources. But no, getting back to the topic of privacy, how important is privacy to everyone? I don't think we touched on that very.
Yeah. I think I'll let Barnabas go first here, just because I kind of talked a little bit more than I should have.
But I hadn't put together my thoughts yet. All right, fine.
Too bad.
Private-
You're on the spot. Deal with it.
Okay, this is gonna sound weird.
Okay.
To an extent, I believe that privacy is very important. To another extent, absolute privacy only works if you are the only, if you are the only person in a. Let me rephrase that. Absolute privacy only works in an ideal world, which I said earlier. But then again, in an ideal world, what do we need privacy for? We wouldn't be afraid of anything. There's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to keep secret. Using my experiences. If I personally kept the fact that I was gay very private to a lot of people for obvious reasons. In what I would consider an idealized world, I wouldn't have that. The whole concept of the privacy of the gay lifestyle would never even cross my mind. Never. And here, the internet concept of I want to look up how to I want to educate myself and learn how a bomb is made, just because I want to know. I personally don't want to know how it is, but I'm using it as an example.
Barnabas is a terrorist, and yeah.
And now I'm on a
the
list. Way to
point.
go. Some sort of big gay terrorist with deep voice.
Gay terrorist.
I
Yes.
feel like listening
You're
to
trying to
this
make
is
this
like
Barnabas.
just
Someone needs to write a creepypasta about this somewhere around the line. But
I already wrote one, so check that. No, I'm just kidding.
so if for example, I wanted to learn how to make a bomb. Obviously, privacy is going out the window in the real world, because you don't want people that you think are going to blow something up learning how to make a bomb. You find out that somebody's learning how to make a bomb. You want to watch them. You want to make sure they're not using that for something absurd. Like blowing up a park or something. I don't know.
A park. Out of everything.
You're gonna use,
Out of everything.
Out of everything. I was trying to think of something. And anyways, but in the ideal and that idealized world, quote unquote, you wouldn't have to worry about that, because people wouldn't be making bombs to blow things up, to blow up things maliciously. Better yet, because we would still need to be able to blow up things in order to make room for highways or byways or what have you.
In an ideal world, we'd be able to control everything with our minds.
That too.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. But there's another thing. People always talk about how awesome it would be to have superpowers. How great would it be? Would you want to have superpowers?
oh hell
Catchy.
yeah.
Would you want to have superpowers, Light? Yeah, everybody wants to have superpowers.
Until the point where it becomes like the government's, or like it just with the point where it becomes annoying, and then I'd probably still want to have superpowers. So never mind.
I wouldn't even I wouldn't even go that far. I'd be worried at the point that telepaths start showing up. Because where's your privacy then?
Yeah, because
when
really,
teleporters start
telepaths,
showing
what
up.
they do, telepaths invade people's minds. They're masters of the mental invading people's minds. That's just what I just said. And yeah, there's no privacy at that point, especially with an insanely powerful one. Like if you look at X-Men, and I'm just using the popular cultural reference because it's a popular cultural reference and most people would understand it. Charles Xavier from the X-Men, he is an extremely powerful telepath. And with that Cerebro device, he can peer into the lives of everyone on Earth. Every single living being, probably every single living being on Earth with some form of mind or conscience. That is the ultimate privacy breaker. And if telepaths were to, exist in this world with superpowers, in this theoretical world, eventually somebody would make that.
Yeah.
Eventually somebody would make that, and somebody would use it for something other than good intentions.
Or even not even going that far, just like saying having people at airport security and stuff. I don't know. Like just everywhere. Like
Yeah.
if you have like an off thought, it's like, sure, like that one movie where that guy got blown up and the building exploded. And he destroyed the plane. I don't know.
There's like so many movies like that. It's just a generalization at that point.
Yeah, really.
No.
And it just gets picked up by the wrong thing. That's one of like the problems with this, current privacy thing. Like, what was there was something I was reading on 4chan, of course, and somebody said they searched for something, and it just happened to be the wrong word combination, completely wrong word combination, for looking for something completely mundane, and they're on a list until they're 18.
Wow.
What was the word combination? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I honestly don't. It was something like when you first read it, it's one of those things where like, yeah, that totally sounds fine. But then when you
when you go into like a deeper meaning kind of thing.
I was like, oh my god.
Like, no, wow, okay.
It's all like, I was just looking for some curtains, and somehow it got like translated into like Kill the president today.
I think it was something like trains. I think it was like trains for little girls or something like that. Like he was. I think he was trying to find a how to make a dress for his sister or something. I'm trying to remember. I really don't remember what it was. It was something really. It was something. It like when you read it, it's like, yeah, that sounds kind of mundane. Oh my god, I think this is. I think that this is.
Meaning, and you just see, like,
the deeper meaning is child pornography, pretty much.
Oh god.
And you're freaking, and the poor guy's freaking out. So, but obviously every system needs tweaks. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, nothing's never gonna be
Nothing's perfect before, yeah. But well, I had something on my mind a second ago. There was also something. Ah, goddamn. Okay, improvise, everyone. No, just kidding.
Catchy.
But no, going into privacy when I think about it and stuff. I find, like, this may seem, up to now, this may seem somewhat hypocritical, but like I find it quite important. But I don't think it is as important as everyone makes it out to be. I don't think it's the most important thing ever. While I find it very important and I would prefer my life stay private, I'm not gonna like go and like jump off a building and like blow up a building to try to prove a point about, hey, I need privacy. Like, it's just not something I feel that strongly about. While I would prefer it greatly over not having privacy, but I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. I care up to an extent of like, well, that's pretty shitty. You should not do that.
And there are some countries out there who don't like allow their citizens privacy, like who monitor pretty much everything they do. And I'm not gonna say any countries because I don't want to end up like targets for some assassin. I don't want to like look out my window one day and see some like sniper sitting across the like 20 meters. I don't want my window shattered. I'm dead. Like that would be horrifyingly bad. But
no, we just watch your IP address.
Yeah. We just watch your IP address. But no, like some countries.
In Saudi Arabia, like you can't look up women's rights. You can't look up women's rights at all. Like you literally cannot look up women's rights or you go to jail.
Seriously?
In Saudi Arabia, I'm being 100% serious. Like you cannot look anything up.
That just seems like such an. I'm gonna go a little bit off topic here. That just seems so historically stupid. Like, if you really go back and think about it, like, the segregation of just women and men it's a really dated thing, and even if it's part of religion, it just needs to stop. Like, people are created equal, whether you're man or woman, whether you're Caucasian, dark skin, light skin, whether you're purple. I don't give a fuck if you are purple skin. Somehow, you are still equal to every other human being on this planet, and we need to realize that, and we're never going to realize that, and it's sad.
I don't think it's a matter of never realizing it. I think it's just we're still growing as a species and whatnot, and I feel it's going to take time. Like, I'm not going to say that, but I wish it would be faster than it is.
Yeah, it's mostly just. I feel like it's basic, just kind of human instinct at that point. Like, we fight against each other, just like animals do in nature for everything. Everything. We fight for mates. We fight for food, and we fight for more human things like money, power, good clothes to wear, all this other stupid shit that probably will disappear. And
we fight to win. And that's
Pretty
the
much.
problem.
We fight to win life.
No one fights to be right.
Yeah, we fight to win life. And
I don't feel like the thing is. I feel like the thing is it's not both. I feel like what you just said is synonymous to fight to be right or fight to be to fight to win or whatever. I feel the thing it shouldn't be to fight for either of those. I feel like it should be more along the lines of fight to be equal and fight for fairness instead of fight to.
I wasn't saying that fighting to be right and fighting to win were the right methodology. What I was saying is that is the basic human instinct. Is no one cares if you're right. What they care about is if they win. They don't care that you can You can be right all day long, and you can prove every which way that someone is wrong. The other person doesn't care.
Yeah.
They want to be the one that wins because they want to
Yeah.
come out on top. No one wants to be embarrassed. No one wants to be told, "Hey, you know what? Everything you've known up to now is wrong."
Exactly.
God is in fact a giant flying spaghetti monster. He's standing right there. He's staring at you. He's touching you with his noodle.
Oh God,
No.
that doesn't
God is a
sound
man. God is a
sanitary.
man in a. God is a man in a. God is a man in a turban, way up in the sky, looking down on us with divine
Eating
creation.
pancakes.
Eating pancakes. Now I must kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Basically,
also,
like,
and that's the reason I
nobody
hate.
likes to have their worldview challenged. I was watching a video on this the other day, and the guy was basically talking about facts don't matter if you're trying to change someone's opinion, because you can throw facts at somebody all day long. You can say, oh, this, and oh, that, and this has been proven by this, and that, and all these other things, but you're not going to change someone's, like, opinion or worldview, which is based on themselves and what they've experienced, with facts. They're always, like,
Yeah.
they're not going to change their position on anything. They're going to keep, you know, their
Look
position
at
centered on themselves.
evolution.
It's just,
Like, while I'm
Yeah,
not a
and that's how you
biologist.
change. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just
Oh,
saying, look at evolution and people's disagreements. Like, no, evolution's bullshit. Even though there's just tons and tons of evidence.
yeah,
Even though I'm not a biologist, I can conclude from everyone else researching, and this is how we pretty much progress in a society, is trusting in others after after a multitude of evidence is provided through multiple sources. I feel that's when we can say, okay, yeah, this is leaning more towards fact than fiction, or in just
Yeah.
cases like that.
And in a lot of cases, people don't want to, instead of because people believe in the concept of black and white, where black is, um, say their view, and white is another person's view, and you cannot have any white integrate with that black, or vice versa. That's where you start getting those really heavy arguments. And there's a lot of there's thankfully a lot of people who are getting into that habit of saying, using the concept of evolution. It doesn't mean that if you trust in evolution, it doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It means
Yeah.
that it can be the answer as to how God worked. As it's always been, God has always worked in mysterious, if not circuitous ways. Um,
yeah.
the I had a point that I was about to say before all of this, and I completely lost it, and I blame you, Catchy. Uh,
Okay.
but
The funny thing is, when he said that, I'm clicked on myself in this Google Plus Hangout, and so over my little box it says you. So
I blame you.
I
You
thought that
and
was
only
funny.
you. But there's a good saying that it's always really funny to me, because it's something that you hear people who say that they are very mature, or that everybody else is immature, and you always hear this from people. Especially people that end up having arguments with others. And the point of maturity is being able to listen to the other side of the argument and weigh its validity. Weigh and determine, is the point of this okay? Do I understand what they are actually saying? Can I ask them to phrase it in a way that makes it so that I can understand it? Kind of like what I was saying earlier about going back to the original point altogether. Um, if someone can come to me and give me a valid reason why Facebook would want to go through and listen to my background when they already have a plethora of different ways to obtain advertisement, what is it that they can get in my background that they cannot get from my internet browsing? If someone can come to me with that and speak to me with the valid reasons, well thought out, well put forth, then I can try to understand the other side, while at the same time providing to them, these are my concerns. This is what I personally do not want to happen. Here's how it can happen. Here are the valid reasons, not just paranoid delusion or paranoid bandwagon, but legitimate reasons. If I'm sitting here and my phone is and I'm doing an update or some crap, and uh, my boyfriend says, "Oh shoot, I'm dead." Um, Please
Oh,
stop dancing. Please stop dancing on my corpse. And then next thing I know, I'm going to get I have a paddy wagon waiting to take me away. When in reality, all he was waiting for a res in Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, like
Explain, please come and explain to me how can my concerns be assuaged with
like
proven fact.
that kind of reminds me of a point that was made on a video I was watching the other day, and I watch a lot of YouTube, and I was actually watching the debate between Bill Nye and Ken Ham on evolution versus creationism. I won't get into any of that because it's like a 3 hour long video. Look it up; you can probably find it easily. But the point that Bill Nye made was he didn't see he said science accepts those who can prove the actual accepted theory is wrong. Science accepts this, and he challenged people to go out and find ways to prove the current facts wrong, and he would accept those as the new facts. And I feel like that's kind of similar to what you were saying: is show me the reasons why this is a good thing, that Facebook would want to do this, and I will accept it. I may not like it, but I will accept it because you've given me valid points to it. Even though I do have my own concerns with stuff like this, yes.
Or we can all just completely lose every single possible usage of the internet. Completely go back to the barter system, um, and raise chickens for the rest of our lives.
yeah, that sounds pretty nice. Hey, how about we do that?
No, no. I think I'd rather stay in the technological age just because I think I'd go insane without any form of.
You need your
Yeah.
creature comforts.
I need my little comforts in life. Otherwise, I think my mental instability would just skyrocket.
How can I exist without having my interaction with Bonsai Buddy?
How can I exist without my
Who's been
interaction
drawing
with other
dicks?
people? Uh,
It's just, yeah, it's a give and take. I have a very good friend, um, who shall remain nameless, uh, who, when I first met him, believed wholeheartedly in the dissolution of all governments, and that we all need to go and live in communes or
Catchy? No, I'm just kidding.
compounds. And I told him I disagree, and he said, "Well, obviously our government doesn't work. What kind of government do you think would work? Ideally, yes. And what kind of government do you ideally think would work? Well, since there's no such thing as a perfect, a perfect society or anything like that. There's still going to be people that commit crimes, so you would need some sort of government. And we're dealing with something where I can magically create something to keep it all in place. I would say a benevolent dictatorship, that is elected by the people, to begin with." And he said, "Oh, that's cute, but a dictatorship. Somebody comes over and says, 'Hey, you're wrong, so I'm going to shoot you in the head with a smile.'" I said, "That's not what it means. It means that the person is benevolent in the sense that they are not corrupt, that they're doing things to help the people, that they're not interested in their sole goals and whatnot." Um, it's For some reason that was impossible for him to wrap around his head. And he finally realized the reason why is because he recognizes the fact that that can never happen, because everybody for the most part is corruptible, and to some degree. And I later on told him, it's like even your concept of a commune and things like that. that will still fall apart eventually because, again, people are corruptible. People will become corrupt. It happens. It's life. And you have to give and take a little bit here and there to deal with it. A little bit of the good, a little bit of the bad. There's no such thing as absolute black and whites. And only a Sith deals in absolutes, and then what I had just said is an absolute.
Yeah, and there's no such thing in this world as, well, an absolute. Like, there's no absolutes in our plane of reality.
And going back to what you, something you said earlier about how your friend couldn't wrap their head around, how the concept of a good dictatorship. I think it's mostly just because not even because of history, because we've seen like how bad dictatorships can actually be in the real world. But I think it's mostly because not only that's just a part of it, but have you seen how the media displays dictatorships? Like, have you really seen how how video games, movies, TVs, all of these things display like dictatorships and monarchies and things like that? It's really bad, actually. It's incredibly bad.
Of course.
And like, I don't think people realize that we're getting the impression that that monarchies and dictatorships are actually a bad thing, when in reality they can be good, depending on the way the people accept it and work with it. Because I believe for a long time monarchies did work in Europe in the back in the long past. They did work to an extent.
What do you think
I
Rome
think
was?
we kind of do forget this.
Yeah, Rome was the largest.
They're kind of just like, what's the word for it? Not really. They're kind of like demonized in today's world, where it's just like, oh, democracy and freedom, all these freedoms and rights, and this is how things should be done with the voting process and the system and all this. And you can see even here sometimes that doesn't work because people who aren't either I'm not calling anyone stupid with this, but people who may not be well informed, people who may be easily fooled into going along with something that a politician really doesn't mean, false promises, just
or
all these
even
kinds of things.
even real promises, but it's something that people, the majority can't get behind because they can't see they refuse to see the big picture. They're more concerned about themselves. I think another good friend of mine, we were discussing, because we're nerds, we were discussing Star Wars. And do you know why the Emperor wanted to create the Empire?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I've never actually watched. I will admit this, and I'm probably gonna get somebody yelling at me, like a month or so down the road when a Star Wars fan actually watches this. I have never actually seen those movies. Like, I've never actually seen any of them. I don't think. I think I've seen like maybe one of them, but I've never actually seen like the original trilogy. Like just like that. I don't actually understand. I think I've seen like the last in that original trilogy, and it was like as a young kid.
But go on,
Chachi, we need to have a discussion about your friend.
I plan to watch them one day. It's just I never had the time to get to like sit down and actually do it. Just because I believe they are relatively long movies. And
yeah, relatively.
I do have other things that I need to keep my time busy with.
But the whole thing was because I'm not I get all my information from some reading, but then again, I also, what I usually do is give like a lot of the books that I buy and give them to my best friend. He reads them and gives me the information, gives me the synopsis of the story, just because I don't have all the time in the world to read what I want to read. But one of the things was that the Emperor created the Empire, because of the Yuuzhan Vong, which was an alien race that came in and completely wrecked the Republic after sometime after the whole incident. The Emperor knew about it. That was part of the big plan. Yes, absolutely, he was evil and wanted evil. The Sith, glory, glory, hallelujah. But still, there was still a beneficial aspect of it, which was no, we're not going to fall to these non-force using, non-force sensitive. These things exist outside the force. We cannot have these coming up in here and messing up house. But imagine if the Emperor had never done that, and somebody came over and it's like, hey, there's a bunch of aliens out on the side. We should that are coming over to come over and kill us. We should probably mobilize and get some stuff ready. Well, what do you need? We need to completely dissolve a lot of unnecessary things. We need to get rid of art school. We need to get rid of music class and all that stuff, and really start pouring all those funds into military strength, so we can figure out a way to destroy them. We're going to need to do some unethical things. Okay, let's put it to a vote. And all that stuff probably would have been done maybe like 20 years after everybody was already dead.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and that's I feel like there is some necessary evil when it comes to really anything, and I feel people just aren't comfortable with like that idea, like of course going back to the idea of gray and white and black, and no room for gray and like necessary evil such as that. Like, let's just bring up a hypothetical, and let's say like. And of course, this is like completely used for a different purpose usually. But let's say, is it more moral to kill one person and save many, or like just that situation? Like I believe it's like the morality test. I believe it's called, presented by, I can't remember by who, but it's, let's say there's a really fat guy, and you're standing on a bridge, and or actually not, no. The correction is the correct first one is let's say you're in a trolley, and is the mic cutting out for everyone?
No, I hear you fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're good
okay.
for me.
Okay, mine's just cutting out a little bit, but but no. Let's say you're in a trolley, and there's the separator, which you're about to hit a fork in the road, and it's gonna go down two different ways. Let's say one has just one guy, and you would kill him, but the path you're on right now, if you do not touch the switch, you're gonna kill, like, let's say like 50 people. If you don't pull the switch and kill only one person, which is more moral? Like, which one would you do, and which one do you think would be a moral choice?
That is really a really hard question, because to be honest, each one is really taking life. There's no avoiding the taking of life.
Exactly, and like this goes back to the point that I want to say. There, in life, not everything is black and white, and like of course Barnabas has been touching on this the whole entire show. There's there's no there's no such thing as an absolute, especially when talking about morality or privacy or really any aspect of your life. There's always going to be a gray area. There's always room for something. Nothing's ever just nothing is ever 100% what it says it is. There's always bits and pieces of other either ideologies or just other aspects from other things. Nothing is just completely its own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just don't be a plague, Catchy. You'll be okay with speaking. But anyway, yeah, that made sense. You're basically saying like there always has to be room. Like there just has to be, because in situations like the one you presented, where either you save one person and let the others die, or you destroy one person or kill them, depending on what the context of the actual thing is, and let the other people live. It's always kind of a strange decision, because no matter what you do there, you're always going to be in the wrong, and you're always a little bit going to be in the right, because like you're not supposed to kill people. Like, it's not even a thing about religion. It's just a thing about like as people, we don't want to kill other people, except when you're like a psychopath. But I'm not going to get into that. That's mental issues, and that's just human things that don't need to be discussed right here. But moving on with what my point is that we don't want to kill people. It's not morally right to normal human beings to kill other human beings. And so when you're presented with a situation like this, you really don't want to do anything. But again, doing nothing causes those other people to die. So you do need to
Yeah,
make a decision.
and that point in too, like that's another people are have differing opinions in that, in which it's not a moral decision to do that, but it's not also immoral. It's none of like I feel the only way to by actually attributing and acting in that situation is the only way to become immoral, and there's no morality in that situation. But that's just
You
another
can't put
thing.
morals to a
That's
situation
just
like
for
that.
morality.
Yeah. Like, in my
No,
personal belief, a situation like that should not imply morals, but rather logic, really. But that's just my view on things.
well, what do you mean?
Well,
Logic.
logic would dictate that saving the many is worth sacrificing the few. Logic,
I don't remember.
basic logic, dictates that it depends on a number of variables, but normally saving the many is worth sacrificing the few from a logical standpoint, because say, now I'm going to give you an example of when that's not good. Say you have a group of people, and there's a disease within this group of people, and the minority are immune to this disease, while the majority are susceptible to it. In that case, you would want to save the few and kill them and let the many die, because you want the few to, have that immunity and pass it on to later generations. But in most cases, like I said, the many will outweigh the few, from a logical standpoint. And
I
so you
wouldn't
want,
call it necessarily
yeah,
a
it's a very
logical.
hard decision. Very, like, if you think about things very logically, like
I I
like
wouldn't.
logic, like ABC, like one is before two, 1 plus 1 equals 2, stuff like that, like logic, just basic like common sense, really. Like, many people, if they thought just completely logically with no kind of
That's just a
emotion or
misrepresentation.
morals, yeah, it's very hard to kind of understand my point here. If
No,
you don't
no, no.
think like
I was just
incredibly
saying, like, I
like,
just felt like that was a
yeah.
misrepresentation of logic. That was my only point
Well,
against
no,
that.
I mean, like, it's not.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm representing kind of logic just as I've been taught it, mostly. Like, it's not a representation of all logic, like, but from
mhm,
my standpoint of things, like, normally saving the many would dictate
mhm.
sacrificing the few in that situation. But to other people, the logical thing might be to, I don't know, save the few because something about them is, better or different than the many. Or, I don't know. It just depends on the person, really. But if you kind of just take a step back and didn't include like bias, like just objective logic, which is hard for any person to do. Objective logic, it's also kind of a gray area, but normally if you thought objectively logic and objectively, then you would probably say saving many people dictate sacrificing a few, if it came to that. Because, I mean,
No.
let's face it, logically you would want the human race to continue, with a lot of people to choose from to make it continue.
I'm the only problem I have with your idea of this is just I feel it's too basic of an idea, and like by just completely saying okay, saving more is better than killing one, saving five is better than only saving one, which I feel like when going to that situation, I don't think that's the logical choice automatically. There is more factors, and the fact that there is more factors, which makes it a better choice. Like the logical choice is to examine the situation and try to make the best decision possible, not necessarily choosing the many over the one. And that's where I felt like you misrepresented just logic. That's where I had a problem with it. But no, hey Barnabas, and like, what do you both think about this?
Yeah.
Just
I,
this is gonna be kind of our last little thing, and then we're gonna wrap up here, all right?
What was the
Go on.
question?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Okay, if you're asking me about the concept of the logic versus the, many versus the few, in the case of the trolley, the logical thing would be yes, weigh your options as quickly as possible and determine the validity of saving one versus saving the multiples. If the one you're saving is a baby,
or also remaining absent of choice, which is the only neutral position as well.
well,
And
that's the real version. I was actually going to say that.
Okay.
The having those times and having that time to weigh the validity of do I save this old man, or do I crash into that bus full of children, or vice versa, do I save this baby and let this crash into a bus full of old bunch of retirees. Obviously you're not always going to have those sort of things, but you maybe you have that time and all that information to figure out what you're going to do. But the reality is what most people would do is save myself. What's up? He's just been really soft. He's just been really soft today. Unless you peed. And yeah, and in most cases, people aren't going to just say, "Hey, you know what? Let me sit here and do some Venn diagrams, some math calculations, and determine the value of everybody's life here in this situation." Or, most people are just going to say, "Screw you! I'm just going to jump out the window and take the neutral route." Or they can take the fourth route, which is save them all and let yourself die somehow.
Yeah.
Or save everyone and not die. I don't know.
If you stripped away all of the kind of like the factors, like Barnabas was saying, like there are many different factors to consider. But I think where I was coming from with my point after hearing his argument is, if you stripped away all of those factors that you have to consider, just got it down to the plain simple situation. Are you going to save this one person or the group of people?
Man,
like, if you got to that situation and stripped away all other factors.
I feel at that
even
point,
yourself in that
the
situation.
question. I feel at that point the question is rendered pointless. And it's just like
That
there's no
question is
reason to
rendered
ask
pointless.
because it gets away from the central point, an idea what you're trying to express. Like in this situation, which do you think is moral, or which do you think is the better decision? And then if you just say like, oh, one is better than five, then I'm sorry, I completely disagree. I feel that question would just be, I don't know, like as a justification just for what you said earlier, I sure, but like as an actual question or anything, I feel it would add nothing.
Well, the problem here is that the way that what I'm hearing right now is that you're asking for a more solid answer than can possibly ever be given.
Yeah.
And we can't. There's no true answer. We can give our off the cusp answer. We can give the
Yeah, I don't try to go for a solid answer. I know there's no real answer to this question. Yeah. You can give your honest opinion.
Yeah, because
but there's no real answer.
Because the main point of the question, in just this whole hypothetical, is to point out the gray in pretty much our everyday life and just life in general. Not everything is this or that. It's kind of in between a lot of the time. But hey, guys, this we're running on about an hour. So hey, closing words, Light. Closing words.
Light.
Silence. Light.
Light, are you dead?
Are you dead? Light.
Use his last name.
Light Row. Light Row. Say your final thoughts.
Opinions on this.
You're such a bitch.
What?
But no, continue. Okay, last words, friendo.
I'm trying to. This was nice to hear your two opinions on this. It definitely is obviously a learning experience because to see someone else's opinion other than your own on some subjects and hear stories about other people, it's always a learning experience, and I think that's what this was. Or it can be said that we did learn something about each other and how we see the world.
All right, Barnabas.
This was pretty much a microcosm of everything that we were talking about. As it was. The fact of the matter is, everything is pretty much in shades of gray. Don't be listening to hardcore Japanese hentai porn while you're updating your statuses on Facebook anymore because of that whole privacy issue, and realize that there's no such thing as a perfect government. There's no such thing as a perfect society. So for all you people that throw on your Guy Fawkes masks while you're behind your computers, realize that it's pretty much not going to get. It's not necessarily going to get better unless you're willing to make some sacrifices.
Yes, agreed. And hey, Barnabas, did you enjoy being on the show? And could we have you again sometime?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Fuck you. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. This is our show, Pasta Weekly. This is Catchy Malice signing out. Bye bye.
Remember, stab plague.